But we have to begin this morning with a journalistic sin at Rolling Stone. It is now making national headlines, and it's all about this bombshell article, A Rape on Campus, which described in brutal detail the gang rape of a freshman named Jackie who attended a frat party at the University of Virginia 2 years ago. The university basically ignored her allegations until the moment this article was published, November 19th. It called attention to the prevalence of sexual assault on campuses all across the country, which is exactly what the reporter, Sabrina Rubin Erdely, wanted to have happen. UVA's president issued a swift response. She suspended all fraternity activities on campus and promised a full investigation. But portions of the 9,000-word story came under scrutiny from other journalists, partly because Rolling Stone's editors agreed when Jackie asked them not to contact the 7 alleged rapists. In other words, the writer only got Jackie's side of the story. And there are now big questions about the accuracy of Jackie's account. This is, of course, very awkward to say. But on Friday, Rolling Stone came out and said there were discrepancies and apologized. We should say they have not fully retracted the story. The editors, in the meantime, have declined my interview request. But here's what I can report this morning. All this weekend, those editors have been belatedly fact-checking the article. They are reviewing what went wrong. One anonymous editor told me this: "We are taking these matters very seriously." But the fact that this editor refused to be quoted by name shows you just how damaging this has been for Rolling Stone. Jobs are on the line now. Also, and frankly, more importantly, there are questions and concerns about the damage that might be done to other victims of sexual assault. I have a fellow student who knows Jackie standing by in Charlottesville, and a writer who saw this coming, who challenged the Rolling Stone reporter early on. But first, let's establish the facts as we know them with Taylor Reese Shapiro. He's the Post reporter who did the work Rolling Stone did not, and he's in Washington this morning. Taylor, what do we now know are the main discrepancies between the 9,000-word story and what may have actually happened that night?
The first thing that came out is the fraternity has denied that there was a party on the weekend of September 28, 2012, which is when Jackie said she was allegedly sexually assaulted at the fraternity house. It has also become clear that she has said her attacker may now not have actually been a member of the fraternity.
And that is a shocking thing to learn, because it suggests that the writer in this case was not doing that initial fact-checking. Have you been able to speak to the Rolling Stone reporter in question here?
I have not. I sent her an email message and I asked her to get in touch with me because I wanted to go over some details that I had learned and also speak with her about her interactions with Jackie. She said that she wanted to speak with me but has not yet returned my calls.
And when I've been calling her this weekend, it says her voicemail box is full. I guess that kind of says everything, that her voicemail box does not even accept any more messages. But you were able to speak with Jackie, and she stands by the substance of her story. Is that correct?
Yes, entirely.
What does that signal to you, that something traumatic did occur and we just don't know exactly what?
I asked Jackie many times to tell me the truth of what happened to her that night. I wanted to find out from the very beginning, what as close as possible what the facts were of the case. In speaking with her, she was outgoing, she wanted to tell her story, and she told a story that was substantially similar to what appeared in Rolling Stone. As I continued to look into the facts of the case, I continued to ask her specific questions about the events of that night. And as we continued to move forward in that story, it became clear that perhaps there were some inconsistencies. I asked her about those, and she said that the only truth that she knows is the truth of what happened, and that's what was published in Rolling Stone.
How hard has this been for you to have to go back and retrace this reporting and raise questions about something that is so sensitive and so traumatic?
This is obviously a very sensitive topic around the country and college campuses everywhere. I just think it's important as a journalist to look into the facts as best as we can find them. Answers are sometimes really hard to find. It's difficult to tell in the end what happens inside a locked room. But it's important to speak to everybody who may have been inside that room or who may have heard of exactly what happened afterwards.
And of course, the vast majority of claims of rape and sexual assault are true. That's according to researchers who have studied this. To be studying one case that may not have been as terrible as described in the article should not take away from that basic fact. But Taylor, thank you for being here. I now want to turn to Sandra Menendez. She's a student at UVA. She knows Jackie, and she interns at the university's Women's Center. And Jackie, Sandra, I was hoping to speak with you because you were interviewed by the Rolling Stone reporter. Tell me what that experience was like and how you came away feeling after being interviewed.
Yeah, so I was interviewed for the Rolling Stone article for my work through the University of Virginia Women's Center. And as my role as a peer advocate for justice for victims of sexual assault and domestic violence, I left that article feeling a little bit uncomfortable. I know that a lot of other peer advocates who were interviewed for the article also felt really uncomfortable after being interviewed. And we don't really know if it was the degree of the questions that were being asked, because this is such a difficult topic and such a painful topic to talk about, or if it was the way that certain questions were being presented.
You told me off air that you felt she had an agenda. What was the agenda you thought she was pushing?
Yeah, I think she was trying to tell a really painful story, which is that sexual assault really does happen at the University of Virginia and also around the United States. I'm not quite sure if the story that was told, really does speak truly to it, given that we have so many ideas of like false memory recall, or we're still searching for problems in the story. But I do think that the agenda that she was trying to reach, which was like really getting this story out, was achieved. I'm just not sure it was done in the most responsible of manners. But some light really will come from this.
When you read the article, you noticed other facts that you thought were wrong. Tell me about the take back the night detail in the story.
Yeah, in the story there were less than 500 souls who were said to have appeared at Take Back the Night.
That's what Sabrina wrote.
Was the chair. Yeah, that's what Sabrina wrote. I was the chair of the rally committee, and that was one of our record-breaking years. There was also a comment about the honor committee being reduced to something where students merely just snitch on each other. But she really did force us to look at our university culture. I'm not sure that she had all those facts correct, but again, she did kind of challenge us. So it's two parts to the story.
Do you feel the real villain here is the writer who came to your campus looking for this narrative? What do you think should happen to her?
I think the real villain is probably just the big problem of sexual assault on UVA campuses and also around the nation, and a global issue. I think that regardless of whether or not this story is factually true, and regardless of how uncomfortable I felt being interviewed in this article or how uncomfortable other people have felt, I think that she brought light to an issue, because I think that regardless of whether or not this was true, there was something terrifying and frightening and reading it that really hit home to all of us, and I think that's something that we really need to look at for ourselves. So
and
while
finally,
I didn't feel so comfortable being,
yeah.
Oh, sorry, go for it.
I was just going to ask you one more thing, Sandra, and that's something that I'm very concerned about. Late last night, a right-wing website published what is apparently Jackie's last name. I'm not going to be saying it on this program, and I don't think other news outlets should either. How do you feel knowing that her last name is now being published, and that it seems like she's going to be targeted by people who think she made all of this up?
I feel very fearful, but I also know that we've done so much work at UVA and we've had a call to action, and that we stand with survivors, and that I'm going to work my best, and I know that so many other peer advocates will work their hardest to protect this student. And this university administration is certainly on board with that.
Sandra, thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks so much.